Our friends at Tonic have come out with a new Nuvo Embellishment Mousse. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? And it is.
We've got 10 gorgeous colors, and you can use these with cutting dies, embossing folders for beautiful background stencils.
Right. Lots of neat things, and that's exactly what the design team has done. Come play with us. Well, here they are. There are 10 colors, see, all fingers.
Beautiful.
And you can see as we go around. Now, the one that we're not showing is platinum. So
right.
That's
so
there
there's
too.
a platinum, there's a gold, there are pinks, blues, like a coral, this beautiful eggplant color. And so lots of fun.
Very fun. But better yet, what can you do with it?
What can you do with them? By the way, big 2.2 ounce containers. And I'm going to open up another one in just a moment and show you.
Let's scoot that away. You want me to bring in a sample?
Bring in a sample.
Okay. So our first one is using a cutting die, and this happens to be the cake, candle, and flower die. And let's see
using a cutting die with this means that you're going to go ahead and use this either on the cutting die or on a background surface and then cut it out. So if I get one of the Nuvo Embellishment Mousses here and open this up, I want to point out that it comes with this foil cover. And what I found is that I don't think it matters a lot to leave that on there. It's up to you. We've left it on here just to show you that it comes with that. So when you're done, if you want to place that back on there and put the lid on, that's fine. But I had kind of a hard time getting these off intact, so I don't worry about it. And you can add water to this to soften it up later on.
But it is naturally softer, isn't it?
It is. It's a little bit like a very stiff frosting. So it's not as soft as frosting, it is a little stiffer, but it will come off on here, and you can get like larger pieces that you'd actually swipe off on the edge there. I just want to get a little bit of that color on there. I'm going to swipe off the big part, and then I'm going to start with a piece of cardstock and just start adding it. And I'm just going to go around in a circle, add a little bit, and then I can add, by the way, as many layers as I want. And this actually dries pretty quickly. I wouldn't leave the lid off and walk away. I would always put the lid on and close it pretty tightly to keep it moist. Otherwise it will dry out quickly. But you can go back, if it does dry out a little bit, take some water and put a couple of spritzes of water on there, and then it just mixes right in with your little sponge, and you can just keep playing with it.
And I can see while you're doing that why you would want to do it on the piece of paper before you die cut it, rather than trying to do it afterwards.
It's so much easier, although I will say Debbie said that she did it afterwards and she said it wasn't very hard.
Oh really?
So okay, well I didn't want to deal with all of the little bits, so I did it on this, and then it die cuts perfectly afterwards. So that was what was done, and
let's
then
hold
it was
it up.
die cut.
I just want you to see the shine that you get. So the
right.
reason for using this instead of a piece of pink cardstock is to get that shimmer and shine. It's just really
it's kind of an opalescent sort of a look, and that's what's beautiful about it. And then Debbie did another piece in the kind of this yellowish tint, and she placed the cake on top of there, glued it in place, and then cut that out and got this beautiful cake.
And I can see that she used, it looks like the purple up here on the candles, more of that yellow for the flames.
Right.
Very fun, and you can put as many candles as you want, on as many layers as you want. If you want to use the flowers that come with this cutting die, looks like she did also the purple with the pink underneath and a green for the base.
So really fun, just you can get a mix of those colors, and you can see that the colors they're soft, they're bright, they're a little mix of both.
And then we've got some dazzles on the inside. Words to live by, the more candles, the bigger the wishes. So you just need to know that. So that's going to give you that luminescent look.
Right, luminescent, that's a good word for it.
Now, so cutting dies, you see, let's go into embossing folders. Isn't this beautiful?
And this is a really simple thing to do. So you've got the embossing folder that's just these beautiful flowers.
This is the floral trio.
And all you have to do is rub some of that embellishment mousse on there.
Wow.
So there's the embossing folder, flower bunch, it's called.
Floral trio.
Floral trio. I've got that wrong, sorry. You just said it too, and I missed that. Anyway, and I used black cardstock, or actually I think Debbie did in this case, used black cardstock, created that embossed area. So now you've got those raised areas, perfect for adding just a little bit of the embellishment mousse. And I think, yeah, Debbie said she used her fingers for this one, but I'd rather not put my fingers in there, so I don't want to contaminate it, so I'm going to get a palette knife and just take out a little bit of that, put it on my craft sheet, and pick it up with my finger, just a little bit of it, get that on your finger, and I'm making like a, for my finger, I don't want big chunks, so I'm making a nice little layer, and you see how it just sort of scoots out really easy, and it's kind of soft. And then where did you put it? On the leaves. So I'm going to start right here on the leaves, and I'm just rubbing just a little bit, and see how quickly it just picks that up. A little bit more on my finger, and just work a little bit at a time, because the reason I'm stopping and going to get more is because it dries really quickly. It's just a very quick drying process. It's not the same as a wax. A wax feels like it doesn't dry quite as quickly, but this, because it's the mousse, whatever it is that makes that different, it's just, it's quick drying, and so you want to sort of work quickly and just keep picking it up and working on it a little more.
Like you're drawing with your finger.
Right.
And what Debbie did was to allow some of it to go into the recessed area, so not only on top, but in kind of making a halo around that. And then of course going into the blues, and looks like some green or yellow in the center of the flowers. Just such an easy process, but such a stunning look. I just love it. On the inside, she's added some dazzles, and certainly could have done a little bit of these curly cues had she wanted to.
On the inside, that would have been nice too. And I love the metallic paper that was used.
That's
with
the metallic gold, right.
Beautiful.
That comes in a 12 by 12, so it's beautiful.
So it's easy to get that, not translucent, the word that you used.
Iridescent?
Iridescent, okay. That, yes, that nice
Radiant,
shiny
whatever.
look. Whatever we've been saying.
I'm working here.
It's kind of shiny, but it's not glittery, and I love that look.
It's got this shimmer and this glow. Now we're going to go to an all-over cutting die, and this one is thanks, as you can see, thank you words, because they're all over.
Not a cutting die, an embossing folder.
Still
in
an
this
embossing
case,
folder. Yep.
Right. So there is the thanks embossing folder, and all you have to do is, for this one, I would not emboss it first. I would work on that background first. So here's what it looks like, and this is a combination of using the blue, the platinum, and this one is, I think it's called a cornflower blue. You can see that green on my finger, isn't that nice? And the pink, I think peony pink. So using all three of them, and Debbie used the sponges. This is kind of the Debbie show today. She did all of these projects. And just a little bit of each of these colors all over, and just blend them together. You're going to use with the sponges. You would start with the one color or the other, it doesn't matter. Do some of the blue in just random areas, and then switch out and do some of the pink. And I think that I finished with the platinum to really get that pearlescent sort of white covering. Then you're going to run it through your machine with your embossing folder. And when you're done, Debbie said she actually went back and added a little bit of blue right on top of some of the words to really get more punch on that.
Okay, nice. Well, and so we've done that both ways, with the cutting die and with the embossing folders, is you can do it on the finished piece, or you can do it with the piece of paper before you die cut or emboss. Okay, scrapbookers, please, please be looking, because you're gonna love this. This is using a stencil.
Isn't that beautiful?
And this is using our large rose stencil, and we're getting close.
And we have to pick it up. We have to pick it up so you can see that glow.
That shine, yeah.
It almost sort of glows from within. It's almost like it's a translucent something that, with that color behind.
It is, and Debbie used 2 colors to create this, right?
So it's the coral, which I can't remember the name. Yes, Coral Calypso with that gold. And she started with the coral and added gold around the edges. and she placed a stencil on brown cardstock.
Okay.
Right. She did tape off, and she used translucent tape, but you can also use stencil tape. It's real easy to pull that off afterwards. I've got it on the brown cardstock. I'm going to open up that Coral Calypso, and I'm just going to get some of it with my sponge, and it's still kind of nice and soft, and start pouncing it through there. And I've been curious. I haven't tried this technique. I wanted to see how much I actually had to do, but I think you can actually see the brown through there, so that's kind of a nice look.
And I think that's something that we're so accustomed to covering,
Right.
Especially with stencils. And I think the nice thing about this is that the brown kind of shows a little bit.
Right.
You just want to get the mousse so that you're showing all the outlines
Right.
of the pieces.
Also, I'm pouncing. I'm going up and down. I'm not going in circles here because I don't want to take the risk of going underneath the edges of the stencil. So I'm making sure that I'm pouncing. So that's what you would do all over with the coral, and then I'm going to move to the gold and just go a little bit around the outer edges, and I think that makes a nice highlight.
Repounce, are you?
I'm going to repounce a little bit just around the edges.
Okay.
And there you can see that right away, that it adds just a little bit of dimension around the edges, and I think I can swipe a little bit around the edges, a little bit maybe around the center.
Let's lift the stencil.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. So we can see what you've done. So just peel it a little bit so we can see. Very nice.
Beautiful.
Okay.
It's just beautiful.
So you can see that's just a little bit. If you want to go back and add more to get more color. But again, you don't have to worry about it just being solid. You can let some of that brown show. And then when she cut it out, she did let just a little bit of the edge. And that's going to give definition between the layers. And
Plus she went back and added the leaves with a little
Yeah.
green and some of the gold, and it's just very beautiful.
so as we back up, you
Oh,
can see
back
on this page,
And this is done too. She took white cardstock and she treated it with
mousse.
I think the green and then the gold on the edges, and that made a nice mat for her photo.
Oh, interesting.
Very pretty.
Okay, so as we back up, I just want to do two things. This is done on letterpress paper, which is that rich brown, and you've got the artwork showing. But if you had more photographs, you can certainly cut the rows and let it be off the edge. You can do two of them or just one. So you can really use this process beautifully for card making or scrapbooking.
Right, on card making, I can see one of these just on the edge of a card, just like that. Just beautiful.
Be beautiful.
So it's a beautiful look.
Yes.
And it's all done with the new Nuvo Embellishment Mousse.
Right, all 10 colors. You can have some fun playing with that.
Beautiful.
And we will see you next week for more play.
Okay.